Nothing's gonna stop us, nothing's gonna top this, nothing like we've ever seen. And I raise my hands to the sky, what a feeling. 'Cause I feel like dancing high, got a feeling, time to feel it. This is where it all begins.
All right, well, we have a lot to go over today with you guys. We just are finishing our last day of traveling for the last
today is day 14.
2 weeks, guys. So we kind of just want to do a little recap of our first time taking the RV, Rocky, outside of Florida. This was our first major trip up the East Coast. It was originally supposed to be a quick trip to Tennessee and back, but it wound up just turning into one of those RV things, you know, where you take your time and you go with the flow. So, Ellen?
Yeah?
You want to tell us where we started? Where this whole thing began?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's early for me. I'm not a morning person. So, day one, 2 weeks ago, we left our campground in Central Florida and headed up towards Pensacola. Mike's sister is getting married, and so we were heading up there for just an intimate little immediate family only wedding, just to keep everything small. And so the rain, within an hour of getting on the road, the rain hit us really bad. Really strong winds.
Visibility was next to nothing.
Complete whiteout.
Yeah.
Heading up there. And so that was not fun. So we didn't get very far. We ended up stopping in Gainesville at a Bass Pro Shop. And we boondocked there. We did our dry camping there.
That was our second time doing a boondock at Bass Pro Shop, right?
Yeah, we did it when we were over in Tampa from Hurricane Dorian, when we had just gotten the camper. He didn't have a name yet. And we had the camper maybe 2 weeks, and then the hurricane was potentially aiming towards us. So we're like, you know what, we haven't even made our payment on this thing. Let's get it out of here. We're not going to let it sit here. So we went over to Tampa. We have those videos. So in Gainesville, we had great weather.
Right.
The rain stopped by the time we went to bed, and it kind of trickled here and there throughout the night. But we were able to keep the windows open. The weather was great. So no complaints, no problems with that. The staff at the store was great. They're always very courteous, and they're like, yeah, just spend the night, whatever. We went and got a couple of things from inside their store just to help them and thank them. But that was night one for us.
Yeah. So we boondocked for the second time, and it was successful. We actually learned in season one, when we did the premiere of escaping Hurricane Dorian, and we stayed at that Bass Pro Shop, we didn't know we could pull the slides out. We thought you had to be hooked up to an amp.
The slides were on battery. Yeah.
Right. We didn't realize that most of this operational stuff, like that you see behind us, is running off of the batteries up at the front of the RV. So we were able to pull out and have more space and really spread out. So it really worked.
We've learned a lot in the 9 months we've had it. So that's what season one was all about. It was all about learning about the RV and what it could and couldn't do. And we're still learning things here and there, things that need now some adjustments after traveling for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
So what about day two?
Day two, we left. It was beautiful weather. It was crystal clear outside, so we left Bass Pro Shop and we headed to Avalon Landings. We spent 3 nights. We stayed at Lot 45, really overlooked a beautiful landscape of kind of like, what would you say, the inlet or the bay of Pensacola?
The inlet almost becoming like the swampy area of the south, where it just becomes marsh and long grass and water, low water. And it was in Avalon Landings RV Park in Milton, Florida.
Yeah, it was a great spot. we really didn't get much time to sit at the park. Our main goal there was to just spend time with family, because that first night we got there, we pulled in, we set everything up, and then we had kind of like an immediate family dinner just to kind of talk about the wedding and what to expect and stuff like that. And then the following day was the wedding, and then it was just go, 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 go. We really didn't have much time in Avalon. But if you're looking for a great opportunity, go to Avalon and stay at Lot 45. It was perfect. It was right next
crab
to
hunting.
Yeah, it was kind of right next to the bay. The kids got to do some fishing. Our neighbor, we actually had two very nice neighbors. Our first neighbor across the street from us, he kind of came over to the kids and gave the kids
a crabbing net, like a handheld string. A handheld string for crabbing. It just had a big metal triangle that opened up, and you just were supposed to shove some chicken on there and throw it in the water and hold on to it. They didn't catch anything, but the man that was out there with them, he did catch some things, so they got to see that. So they thought that was so cool to watch the crabs. The water was so shallow and clear, you could actually see the crabs crawling into his net, and then he pulled it up. So they had a lot of fun watching that.
Really, really cool.
Which again sparked their, can we get a fishing pole? Can we get fishing poles? We've been asking for a couple years now.
Yeah. So we wound up getting some fishing gear and starting the adventures on fishing with the kids.
Which was a couple days later, so we took Riley for her birthday.
Right.
So I think.
Right.
So.
That's right. Riley turned.
Your sister's wedding was on Friday.
Riley's birthday was on Saturday.
Riley's birthday was the next day.
April 18th.
And so we stayed at Avalon Landings 3 nights.
Right. And then our neighbor to the left of us, he was really kind. He was a home inspector, kind of had a lot of electrician
We don't get bugs in my coffee.
experience. And so he kind of helped me set up a rear view camera. I got this rear view camera. I really didn't know how to set it up. It was kind of in Chinese. The directions were just really tiny, and you definitely could tell that it was not from the United States of America. So.
And apparently our trailer is too long for the range of signal that it says it offered longer, but...
So I bought the rear view camera for this trip, and then we wind up not being able to use it because of the signal issues. So the company said that they have sent us a much more powerful unit. Hopefully that means either a better camera or a long distance antenna.
Hopefully it's waiting for us by the time we get home.
Right.
It's been over a week now. So...
All right. Well, so that was Avalon Landing.
So yeah, for Riley's birthday though, we did get her the fishing pole, but we went ahead and our son's birthday is only 2 weeks later. His is now in just a couple of days, and so we went and got him an early fishing pole birthday present, so they could have fishing poles together. So the 5th day of our trip, we headed out from Pensacola. So this was Sunday. So we left Pensacola and we headed into Alabama. So we were heading up to Tennessee. The plan was to just spend a few days up there. We said we're this close, let's just jump up there for a few days while we have the time. My sister and brother are still up there, so we threw the idea out there to see if maybe we could get together with them, but they're a little more west. They're over in Nashville from where we were heading.
We're heading to the Cleveland, Chattanooga area, which is about 3 hours west of Nashville.
Yeah, because of the mountain line, it's not an easy route. If it was a straight line, it would be like a 45-minute drive, probably.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were heading up to Tennessee. We took our time, though. We just wanted to kind of see what was going on, what was around. How was the weather that drive?
I think the drive was great. The weather was fine.
We got all the way
We drove pretty far into Alabama.
It did start raining closer because then it rained that whole night.
Right.
So we ended up staying at a Harvest Host. We used our first Harvest Host location, and it was Corbin Farms Winery. I think the city was Calera or something like that.
Calera.
We'll put it down below, the name of it. Very cute little winery. Just you can tell, just a family-run kind of thing.
It kind of rained towards the end, and that's kind of what started the whole pull off to the side. Let's not rush. I mean, when you're doing RVing, you're going to learn real quickly that you really just want to take your time. You don't want to be in a rush or a hurry,
which is good because we didn't have a schedule anyway.
Right.
We kind of knew that. We didn't make a schedule. Neither of us had to be back for work or anything like that.
Yeah.
Thankfully right now. But so we pulled into this winery. We got there after they closed, but they left the lock unlocked for us, and they We had pre-purchased some wines over the phone with them, so they left those by the front door in a little bag that said thank you on it with, you know,
It was a nice, our first time using Harvest Host, and it was a great experience. We just went ahead and we called, and they just left everything for us. They let us onto their property like we were family or something, you know. I mean, they were not there when we arrived.
They didn't give us any, don't do this, don't go on up by the building, nothing like that. It was just, come on in.
And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The grapes were starting to go up, and they were starting to vine out. It was just a really nice. It was a nice stay.
Poured the whole night, but the weather was cool enough that we weren't suffocated because we did have to keep the windows shut.
Right.
But the weather was cool enough that we were okay inside the RV without any AC or anything on. But it rained the whole night. And the dog, of course, the dog was having stomach problems, so I had to take him out a couple times in the rain. We took turns.
Yeah, but the next day when we woke up, one of the coolest
Sun was
things,
out and it was dry.
Yeah, one of the coolest things that we got to experience with the winery was taking Duke off leash for the first time since getting him. He has never been off leash. We've been training him and putting him through a lot of training classes.
Yeah, our campground where we stay, the dog yard is teeny tiny. There's always other dogs from there, and the fence is low, and he's big, and so we've never really let him off to any extent. Which I know sounds crazy having that kind of dog, but we were hoping the right environment. So yeah, just letting him off and playing frisbee with him, and
yeah, it was just a lot of fun.
He was the happiest dog in the world. And then he jumped into the truck, got in his crate, and he was out for the next drive. Our list down.
All right, so let's talk about it. Well, our first real review of our first night at the Harvest Host was amazing. I never thought I could stay at a winery. Well, I paid for the premium Harvest Host. It was $99. I think it was $79. And then if you wanted to upgrade to the golf courses, which is currently where we are staying tonight, where we stayed last night, and we'll talk about that coming up. It was $100. And kind of in the last two times we've used Harvest Host, we've really essentially paid for the membership because.
And seeing how our two experiences on this trip have been, and in different states, it's not like we were in the same area where we know, oh, the people are the same here. Completely different environments. Northern Alabama to southeast Georgia. Very different environments, I think. I don't know, I'm from Florida. But I have a feeling we're going to definitely get our money's worth out of Harvest Host.
Absolutely.
So, very happy so far. So when we left Corbin, where did we go?
So we headed up the interstate, and we got pretty far. And Ellen said to me, as we're like kind of maybe an hour, 2 hours off of hitting Tennessee, she's like, so do you kind of want to maybe hit something to say we did something in Alabama, or do you want to just keep going? And I said, yeah, let's look for the nearest waterfall.
See what we can find.
We got off the interstate, and we thought we were heading to a waterfall. It wound up being a really tight,
opposite side of the road.
Yeah, really tight cornered spot that got us into a little bit of an issue. We kind of got stuck.
In a tight corner.
Yeah.
We got in a really tight corner.
And
with some edges.
Thankfully, it was off the main road, so we weren't like in the way of traffic. Though that was at the top of our minds, thinking, okay, what if someone comes?
And more eyes to help us back out. So
the biggest difficult part was just trying to get out. It was hard trying to maneuver a 32-foot RV. It's not easy.
Yeah, and then when you have 3 different people seeing it from 3 different angles, because one's in the truck, one's on this side, one's on this side, we're all saying, no, go this way. Well, I think you should go this way. It got a little hairy for a few minutes, but we were able to back it out. Get the trailer into, they had just down the road, we backed up a little bit. There was a horse trailer parking area, I guess there was horse riding trails back in there. Or that was more the environment, not really for pulling a trailer through a camper. It was for horses. Very off-roady, rough.
Yeah, we unloaded, we unhitched, we locked everything up, and then we took the truck for a little off-roading.
You're manly driving, right?
Yeah, four-wheel drive. I've never experienced four-wheel drive.
What did you say to me when we finished it? You said, I finally got my off-roading.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, I love watching. One of my favorite YouTube families to watch is KYD, and they just recently switched from They're off-roading, teardrop, Jeep to an Airstream. And so I really just wanted to experience off-roading, and so I clicked it into 4-wheel drive, and we kind of just went. It was a bumpy road through this where we thought we were going to a waterfall. Wind up being really nothing. It was more of a Ellen asked the question multiple times, are we sure we are allowed on these roads back here? We thought it was just for like maintenance crews or something like that.
Big hole.
All right, so we are somewhere
My belly hurts.
off-roading, 4-wheel drive.
Very bumpy.
Very bumpy.
In a wildlife management area.
Super, you okay? Yeah, right now.
More mud.
This is fun.
Oh!
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like for the wilderness, for the national park people to drive through to make sure
It was
everything's
really
still good.
rocky. It was really bumpy. Lots of puddles. We went through. We got to a point where we got stuck because it was this long river, and we weren't sure if we could cross it without getting stuck. And
So you got out and walked around and got the
walked
dog
around.
out.
And
The dog.
Duke jumped in the water. I'm sure he didn't know
didn't
what
realize
was coming.
It was so cold.
It was cold.
Take him around again.
So, and then we just decided to, Ellen was, not in the best of moods because, when it gets rocky, as the name
I was
goes.
very unsure about what we were doing.
So we wound up backtracking, and we found...
We ran into the other guy. We crossed paths with another truck that was heading down the same way.
Yeah.
And he told us how to get to the actual falls.
Right.
Thankful, because that was so worth it.
Absolutely. So the
Or-
name of the falls was...
Little River Canyon, I believe, was the area.
Right.
So Little Falls, which was awesome because we looked at reviews, and everyone else put pictures that they posted on like Google Photo reviews and all the different kinds like that. The falls were pretty little. It was a pretty wide area with a decent job.
That's the problem with photos.
20,
And
20
if you're ever like looking at spots, it's hard to do justification when you look at a photo, because when you actually see what we saw.
Well, if you know anything about waterfalls too,
Right.
the more rain, the higher the water table, the bigger the fall is going to be. And they just had a ton of rain. I mean, they were under like flood warnings and all kinds of stuff in Alabama while we were there. Just south of us, we were driving in and out of tornado warning areas. Thankfully, we were never in one. It was either above us or below us. We kind of were switching. But because of all the rain and the high water table, the falls were substantially larger than any of the photos that people had posted.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So if we had looked at photos and been like, oh, that's kind of cute, we could probably even walk out on those rocks.
My initial first seeing of the falls was, why would I travel all the way to Canada to see Niagara Falls?
It was like a miniature Niagara.
It
Like there was
literally
a misting
looked.
effect
Yeah.
because there was so much falling.
Yeah.
And then we took a hike down the side. We went back into the truck, we got the dog, and we went on this trail, another
All right.
trail to the bottom.
Let's go in the car, because there's maintenance crews going by where we are right now, and the bugs are really pissing me off.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so we decided just
Oof.
the maintenance crew is coming back and forth, as you saw,
And I think I got my protein intake for the day.
and the gnats were just.
Too bad we don't have showers. Well, we can use
Well,
the
we
water
have
pump,
showers,
but-
right? The water is at full capacity. It did fill us up, so.
Whew.
All right, so yeah, we're talking about the falls. Absolutely gorgeous, hands down. Definitely check out that waterfall called Little Falls. And we'll actually put a link down below in the
Yeah, 'cause
description
here-
where you can find the exact location.
Yeah, I
to
can't
that
remember
fall.
the name of the city that it was in right now. So yeah, we'll put all the information down below. But definitely amazing. Even the hike down to the lower river region was so relaxing. We could just sit right by the water, put
And
your toes
we
in.
took
It was cold.
we took our Belgian
We took our
Malinois, and he loved it. He was tired at the end of it, but he
We
loved
were all
it.
tired, even the kids.
And he loved licking the fresh spring water. It was just.
So did my mom.
It was peaceful, you know.
You know she's in her happy place when she'll take her water bottle and fill it up out of the stream. Yeah. So after the waterfall, we were at the top of Alabama, and we searched where the nearest Bass Pro was, or something along those routes of places that we knew we could dry camp, and we realized we weren't that far from Chattanooga, so we went ahead and crossed over into Tennessee, right at the edge there, and stayed in a Bass Pro Shop in Chattanooga. So this is now our third Bass Pro, but our second of this trip, and perfect weather. We pulled right in.
Yeah. That's right. It was right off of the interstate. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I remember.
Pulled around that backside where the construction was.
That's right. Okay.
No rain, great weather again. Just opened the windows and went to bed.
Yeah, it was a quick and easy setup.
That's where we cooked the corn soup, I think. The corn soup. Yeah. And so we did dinner on the propane stove, and again, a great Bass Pro experience. At this point, no complaints. And so then the next morning we headed up to. We just had a quick hop. We took our time in the morning. We went and got laundry done. We needed to get laundry. There was a laundromat just up the road, so we went and we refilled the truck, topped off the gas, and got laundry done in Chattanooga. And then just headed up. It was only about a half an hour north to Cleveland, which is where we lived when we first moved to Tennessee.
Right.
And we just kind of spent the day. We dropped off the trailer at a KOA campground. Yeah. Is where we were staying the night.
My first time at a KOA, and let me tell you, hands down, the most beautiful place. One of the most beautiful RV places. A little bit on the pricier side, but we really needed to. Ellen's biggest thing was let's find a place. Let's spend the night. Let's drop our stuff. As far as unhitching.
Be able to
emptying our blacks and our grays, and just a night to just relax. And all right, so after the KOA and after a night of just enjoying some campfire, next day we woke up. Our neighbor was having some RV issues, so I lent him some of my tools, and they kind of just left and went. And
it's the pay it forward concept. We had someone help us in Pensacola. Just help your neighbor. I mean, and people don't even ask for it. No. You just kind of people just wander over and say, "Hey, you."
It's just a different kind of.
You could use some help.
It's a different kind of people out there when you're RVing, and we really got to experience some really nice families on the road this trip.
Yeah.
So we packed up, and at this point we're experienced with unhitching and rehitching the RV. It's just become second nature. We're able to do it a lot quicker now. And we got on the freeway of 75. And we headed towards.
We just went about another half an hour north.
Yeah, we went to Athens, right? Mm-hmm. So we went past Cleveland because there just weren't many campgrounds. Also note, with this whole COVID-19 stuff, just so many different places were closed. So
a lot of campgrounds were open only for the people that were long term or already
and we had to just be really
flexible. They weren't bringing new people in.
We had to be really flexible.
Which we understood. So we weren't, there's nothing you can do about it. And we kind of knew that when we were traveling this trip, there'd be a lot of stuff closed. Exactly. So we just called a couple places till we found one that was open, and they had a couple spots left for the night. And it was just a cute little small campground called Overnighters. But
it was a cute little place. A family bought a long stretch of land, and they built a house, and then they built a little office in the front.
I think that was our first Passport America night too. Because I don't think the KOA is a Passport America. They may have been a Good Sam. I'm trying to remember either. I think it was the Overnighters that was a Passport America. So it was our first time using Passport America. We'll double check that. And so getting those kind of discounts for when you do need to, we Harvest Host and just dry camping at Bass Pros and things like that are great for if you have a good tank reserve and you're good to go. And, but then those days that you do need to have a night where you're with full hookups for either power, Wi-Fi, something, tanks, cleaning, having Passport America to get that discount to make it much more affordable has been great. We unhitched and headed out for our favorite hike of that piece of paradise.
Yeah, our first time in Tennessee 3 years ago, we found this little state park behind the Ocoee River called Hiwassee.
And by little state park, he means it's part of Cherokee National Forest.
Yeah.
And even with everything closed, If you drive past the closed gate down this little dirt road,
Yeah, to a spot that we'll include a link. I actually found it on All Trails, that All Trails app that Mark was talking about last night. It's not called Hiwassee, it's called something else. So I'll include the trail where you can find...
if you don't know it's there and there's no other cars parked on the side of the railroad track road, you wouldn't know it's there.
Right. Definitely check out All Trails, the mobile app. I know it's for Apple. I don't know if it's on Android or not, but it really tells you everything you need to know about hiking stuff near you, hiking anywhere. When I looked at it last night when you were sleeping, after we got done watching KYD, it said don't bring your dogs because of the steepness of what it took. And
very unlevel.
So we did this when we first moved to Tennessee. And how old were the kids when we hiked this trail?
3 and 5.
3 and 5. And then we actually did it twice. So this was our third time because we did it by ourselves.
You did it once without me.
Right, and then we did it with you, Aaron, and everyone else.
Oh, you did halfway the first time without me. You just got to the top of the falls
right.
part, but you didn't go all the way up. And then we went all the way up, and then we came back with my sister and mom when they came up to visit us after we moved up there. And so all my sister's kids went up too.
Yeah, and it was just, it's a magnificent view. Come on.
Can I sit right here?
No, come on.
I don't trust this rock.
You're fine. Trust it.
I don't trust it.
All right, so we made it to the top of Hiwassee State Park. Literally a couple of feet that way is a rock climber who's got everything mounted into the rocks and it's got rope hanging. And yeah, so it's the same view that we expected last time we climbed and hiked this. So kids did a awesome job, and recording. Just it's heaven. So peaceful. There's just something about these mountains. Something about them. So, you there, Ellen?
Yeah.
Come on, trust me. Trust. Look, I'm leaning on the rock.
He's not gonna fall.
Ellen's afraid the rock's gonna fall.
Well, this is the one that's tilting forward.
Okay. Any last words?
It's your fault.
It's always my fault. All right. It's hard to explain it. We'll try to include some footage of that, but definitely worth the hike. So, moving on past day 8, we very long trip, but it's been a great trip. Let's see.
So we left overnighters. We just stayed one night.
Yeah.
And we headed straight
we overnighted
east,
it.
straight east towards, because we were in Tennessee and they were like, you know what? Let's take the long route home. While he was up there, he got word that he didn't have to go back to school. They were officially closed for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
We figured that, but we had to wait for the official word. And that came through while we were in Pensacola. So we figured, we don't have to be back for work. Let's just take the long way home. So instead of heading south from Cleveland, Chattanooga area, we headed straight east towards North Carolina. Why not? So we got all the way to North Carolina. When we got into North Carolina, we were still, the mountain drives through the tunnels and all that. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina.
I forgot the exits. I think it was like 344 and on were the most.
Well, that's when you're passing through, right?
Magnificent. Yeah, the tunnels, the mountains. I mean, you're in the middle of the valley.
That's
you're
right
just
when you're at the
going
ridge.
through.
You're right at the. Yeah.
The mountains are all around you. You just want to pull over and stop. It's that beautiful. We're actually trying to go to a park, another waterfall.
Yeah, we tried finding another waterfall. Unfortunately, most of the parks in that region are national parks, and they were all locked.
Yeah, well, that's the
tight.
interesting thing. You know, it's like there's no one in this area, yet they lock down this park.
And when people are hiking, people usually keep their distance anyway. But, again, don't shoot the messenger. We can't change what other people are doing right now. We just had to go with the flow, which is RV life anyway, right? It was a good lesson in being flexible. So we tried finding places. We did take this long drive right down the state line. Remember, we turned the bridge, got off the exit, turned the bridge, and we thought we had to go up that steep hill. And we were like, oh no, it's a little one-way road. Yeah. This trailer's not going to make it. And as we inched closer over the bridge, we see this little side street, and we were cracking up. We're like, oh goodness. So we turned down that, ended up that power plant, which was a really cool little stop right along the river. And it was right at the state line, so the kids got to get out and do some state line surfing. They thought that was
like 1 foot in
hilarious. It was their first time.
The other foot in.
Yeah, I think that was their first time getting the state line surf, which is always fun for them to understand the concept of they can jump over and they're in a different state. So they had fun with that. Hey, it's simple things in life, right? Cross that off their bucket list. So we followed that road around. And
we ran into some issues on the way out. Just a lot of wind and tree branches.
Well, we got all the way to the little road to go back to the waterfall, and they had orange cones all over the road blocking it. So even though there weren't gates to close, they found a way to close the road so we couldn't go back.
I'm talking about when we headed out, the branches.
I know, I'm still talking about getting to the fall.
See, we're on two different pages here.
So point being, it was closed. We got out and took some pictures by the river. Let the kids run their feet out. They got to see some wild turkeys running around, gobbling around. But yeah, on the way out, the wind was
horrendous.
What do we clock it at? 39 on your wind app?
Yeah.
And a branch, just since we had pulled in, and then the 10 minutes later of us driving back out, a tree had fallen on the road. And thankfully, it was a small and dead enough one that it had broken to pieces. So in the middle of this wind and rain, my mom and I jumped out, moved the logs over while he drove the truck through. And the whole time I'm sitting there like praying that another one didn't fall on my head. It was
scary.
It was windy.
Yeah.
And it's a tiny little road, and you're right by this river. So it's like there's nowhere to get away from it. But anyway, so we got through that, got back on the interstate. North Carolina was gorgeous on the west side. East side, as it flattened out, it just kind of got sad because we love our mountains.
Yeah.
But there really wasn't anywhere to stop because everything is a national state park.
Right.
And in Alabama, we were able to find something open. In Tennessee, we were able to find something open. North and South Carolina, we tried a few different places and had no luck finding anything open to go make a momentous journey of
experience.
But it was still fun. The kids got to be in different states and things like that.
All right, so we decided to try to do a Bass Pro, another Bass Pro. Again, just love the whole Bass Pro concept. And we found this Bass Pro, and I initially, in my mind, when I saw it on the map, I saw that it was in a mall area, and I initially thought, that may not work because it's in a mall area, but I didn't say anything.
I didn't even
It's
realize
amazing. My gut kind of just spoke to me, and I probably should have listened to it. So we pulled into the Bass Pro, and we luckily we did not unhitch, but we were getting dinner going, and then we found out, Sally came in to the RV and said, security just came by and said that we can't park here, we need to move. So as frustrating as that was, we were kind of middle of cooking and all that, we had to put everything away, and we wind up just hopping over across the street to a Walmart. That was our first time spending it in a Walmart. I don't particularly like staying in Walmart just because of...
It was kind of reassuring that when we pulled in, there was another RV there, and there was a semi-truck pulled in. They were all back in the corner, so we just kind of buddied up right next to them, and safety in numbers kind of thing.
And it was nice. It was again, just cold weather. It was kind of drizzling. It was just a nice way to unplug. So I kind of want to speed things up.
Yes, that was in Concord, North Carolina.
That's right.
So we made it all the way over to there.
Then day 10, which was on a Friday, we got into South Carolina. We packed up and crossed the state line and headed into another state. We kind of made our way down the East Coast, and we went to a place called South of the Border, which is this again. It was
just south of the border of the North and South Carolina line. I guess anybody from that region or has traveled. My mom said she used to stop there as a kid when her family would drive down from Pennsylvania. This cute little just
Mexican town.
Yeah, mimicking the south of the border concept of Mexico, just with south of the border of Carolinas.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that
It was a ghost
sad
town,
though
though.
is
all shut down.
just this, everything's shut down.
It looks like something that hasn't been touched for 60 years.
Yeah.
But it was just empty.
Yeah.
But we found a cute little campground there in Dillon, South Carolina.
Don't go to Dillon, not fun. This campground, hands down, was a great campground.
The campground was adorable.
Yes.
And we were kind of...
Same concept as like overnighters. This family bought a piece of land. They had a house in the back. They were Australian. Very nice. The mail came, and then he would personally go to every RV and deliver the mail. But yeah, it was centralized in this big area, big piece of land. There was a Bass Lake type,
which is what it was called.
Right.
It was called Bass Lake RV Campgrounds. There was this big lake in the back for the kids to get to try out their fishing poles. And we were kind of road weary at this point. Our nerves were we were kind of getting on each other. We were just kind of stressed of, oh, we didn't find anything. Let's move on. Okay, we didn't do so we just, when we first pulled in, we said we're going to stay 2 nights. And then while we were unhitching, he's like, you know what? Let's just do 3 nights. Let's just pause, take our time, let ourselves catch our breath. And at first I was like, no, I want 2 nights to stay, but I don't want to stay 3 nights. I want to keep moving. But it's kind of good that we did. It worked out. It really did. The kids got to fish.
It was relaxing. The kids got to
all Saturday. The kids just
outside.
Pretty much fished with my mom at the lake.
Yeah.
We got to just go and relax. You got some time on the internet to work on your video stuff, editing.
Well, the internet kind of sucks.
Yeah, the internet didn't reach all the way back to our spot, so we had to pull up and park by the office.
We're working on trying to add something to our RV that will.
But I got to work on my course for a little bit.
Yeah.
The kids got to do their fishing. They didn't catch anything their first day. They did catch it on their last day right before we left.
What'd you get, Aiden?
It was one of those, okay, last cast out, and then my son had caught something, and then right my daughter's last cast, she caught something without even realizing it. She was so cute. There's just this little fish about this big. It was adorable. They had so much fun.
So we decided on day 13, it was Monday, that we would, again, just get in the car and keep going. So we entered into Georgia. We kind of headed towards the Savannah area, and we went over this really nice, it was our first time going over
into
a
Savannah.
nice bridge.
That was a gorgeous bridge.
Yeah.
Over all the river where the cargo ships were. So it was a big river, big bridge. Kids got to see the cranes with the cargo crates on them and stuff like that.
Really,
so that
really
was
cool.
fun.
And we kind of just stopped in a place in Savannah, just a nice little park.
Just right in the central of downtown historic, right by City
it was
Place,
kind of hard
City Hall.
because we're 32 feet on the RV plus probably another additional 8 feet
and
on
these
the
historic
truck.
streets were not made that big.
Yeah, so it was a tight maneuver. It was a tight maneuver.
But yeah, it was just.
We were there for less than an hour,
Yeah,
and you just kind of just said, you know what? Let's see if there's a harvest host in the area. We looked around, and we called one place. It was a brewery, but they weren't open.
They weren't taking people.
So we just kind of went a little bit further towards Florida. We're 3 hours away from home, but yeah, we're pretty close to Florida, which we're gonna hit the road today in a little bit after we get done with this. But we stayed last night at a golf course.
Harvest Host number 2.
Yeah, Harvest Host number 2. Called. You want to say it? I don't know how to say it.
Laurel Island Links,
Yep.
and we are in
Just look up Laurel Island Links.
Kingsland. We are in
That's
Kingsland, Florida. Laurel Island Links in Kingsland, Georgia. We're not in Florida yet.
Georgia.
We're right at the border.
Literally at the border.
We're not that far from the beach, but there's a Navy base to the east of us, so it kind of blocks us from the beach. So you'd have to drive around one of the other ways to get to the beach. So we're not that far, but that's okay. We weren't looking for beach. We were looking for more other stuff. So again, very easy. When we called in, the guy's like, do you need a night? We're like, yeah, what do we need? He's like, okay, you're good. Just, what's your Passport America number? And
No, what's your Harvest Host number?
Harvest Host, sorry.
All these subscriptions, again, they get really confusing.
What's your Harvest Host number? All right, pull in. You guys are good to go. We'll be closed by the time you get there, but enjoy your stay. The only downfall, I guess it's because it's a golf course and they got to get things done early. The lawnmowers showed up.
Oh, it wasn't lawnmowers. It was just their maintenance trucks going back and forth.
No, there's a lawnmower right out here.
Oh.
At 6:30 this morning. But I guess that's okay because we did get to bed early.
Yeah.
Because we knew we wanted to get up and do some recording. So we had that flexibility of time. So again, we're not on a big time constraint. So if we want to sleep an extra half hour afterwards, that's fine.
That stuff doesn't bother me. It bothers her, but it doesn't.
Well, sleep is a big thing for me. So, so we're waking up. This is day 14. We're less than 3 hours from home, probably 3 or so with the RV. I think Google Maps has us about 2.5 hours. But so we're gonna finish up, close up, hitch up, and head home.
I'm like scaring the...
You just kept getting crooked right that last inch. All the way up. Oh wait, no, not taking the bars on.
Get your side.
But we all can find inner adventure, and that's what this year is all about. Until then, guys, it's great talking to you and catching you up, and we'll see you in the next one.